No, the 26th of September in 2022, that's last year, there were a flurry of detonations on two underwater pipelines that connected Russia to Germany. Now, these pipelines, in fact, were for gas, the Nord Stream pipelines, and the sabotage of them resulted in gas spewing out onto the surface of the Baltic Sea. The explosions triggered 4 gas leaks in 4 different locations, 2 in Denmark's exclusive economic zone and 2 in Sweden's exclusive economic zone. Now, neither of the Nord Stream pipelines were transporting gas at the time of the blast, although they both contained pressurized methane, a potent greenhouse gas. The explosions destroyed the pipelines. They did not only sever relations between Russia and the West, but they also set off a chain reaction in the very delicate marine environment. According to a recent study by the Research Square, the blast led to an ecological catastrophe and have now put the local and the endangered species at risk. The report, produced by researchers from Germany and Poland and Denmark, has alleged that the explosions stirred up a jaw-dropping 250,000 tons of contaminated seabed, resulting in the release of toxic substances, posing a threat to sea creatures. Now, according to one of the authors, the toxic substances also included tributylin. It is the substance that destroys the reproductive capacity of fish. The report has also stated that the explosions have increased pollution in the Bornholm Deep, where cod fish breed, and also the northernmost blast that took place some 40 kilometers from the banks in the Swedish waters, where the endangered porpoises breed. Moreover, the explosions themselves may have killed or destroyed the hearing of the endangered small whales that were close by. The report has also concluded that their population is just about 500, and it is so threatened that the loss of even one female could have major consequences for the survival of the species. Although it is not yet clear as to who was behind the explosion of these pipelines, but fingers have been pointed at the Americans, where a lot of people say that it is only the Americans who could have led an operation to carry out the sabotage of these Nord Stream pipelines, although the Americans have stoutly denied their hand in it. In a letter that's been sent to the United Nations Security Council on the 21st of February, Sweden, Denmark and Germany have said that their investigations are still ongoing, although it's been months since these blasts resulted in the Nord Stream pipelines getting sabotaged. They've said this without a specific timeline for their completion, but they've also admitted that the environmental impact of these blasts is substantial and extremely worrisome. To give us more perspective in terms of how badly has the ecology of these regions been affected because of these blasts and the sabotage of the Nord Stream pipelines, we're being joined by Hans Sanderson, who's joining us live from Germany. He's a senior scientist at the Aarhus University. Mr. Sanderson, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us here on WION. Now, the question that I want to ask you is this. The Nord Stream pipeline sabotage is being described as one of the worst industrial methane gas leak accidents in history. Can you tell us as to how bad this has been for the ocean?
I think it's a little bit strong to say that it's the worst environmental disaster in the marine settings, because we have had so many, obviously, in recent years. There are basically a couple of impacts from this instance. The first, of course, the release of large amounts of methane that contributes to global warming. So it's been estimated that roughly a third of the total Danish greenhouse gas emission equivalent that has been released. So that's one aspect. Another aspect is the impact that the explosions had on marine mammals. We are still trying to get a better handle on what those effects actually will turn out to be, because of course we don't know exactly how close these marine mammals were to these explosions. But if they were within 4 kilometers, it could have lethal effects on them, and if they were further away, up to 40 or 50 kilometers away, it could impair their hearing for a time period, and these are some of the effects. Another thing, real quick also, that we looked at was, of course, the impact of the resuspension of the sediments that have been deposited in the Baltic Sea, where that took place.
Now, Mr. Sanderson, the question that I also need to ask you is marine life becoming a casualty in this war that is presently unfolding in Ukraine?
No, I mean, they are suffering like any other organism. I think it's mostly access to food and other stressors that are being a problem for them in this area. But this does not have a very large impact, I would assume, on marine mammals. The thing about the marine mammals in this area is that we have some harbor porpoises, and this is an endangered species of small whales. So impacts on even a few individuals could be quite bad for the whole population.
Mr. Sanderson, according to reports, it's being said substances such as tributylin, which destroy the reproductive capacity of fish, have in fact been released in the Baltic Sea because of this sabotage of the Nord Stream pipelines. How badly do you think this is likely to affect the fish population in the Baltic Sea?
And this is one of the concerns that we're looking at now, is that the resuspension of a large volume of contaminated sediments in this area, which is also an important breeding location for especially cod. That's an important commercial fish and an important species in the Baltic Sea. And they are spawning exactly on this location and are sensitive to exposure to these materials. So that is a potential risk and concern, and we will only know something about these impacts further in the seasons and months and coming years, if we can see some effects on the number of cod that we can explain with other causes, then this could be a contributing factor to that.
All right. Now, it's not been established as to who was behind the blast that took place in the Nord Stream pipelines. But at this moment, speaking environmentally, do you think there is anything that can be done to try and salvage the situation, especially for the marine life that's been so badly affected?
It's of course important to reduce the release of toxic chemicals to the ocean. In this case, these contaminants have already been released over decades, and they were then resuspended due to the explosions and the strong jets of gas that were escaping from the ruptured gas pipelines. This sediment was, as mentioned, then resuspended up into the water column, and that then exposed aquatic organisms and potentially caused effects. But that sediment has now settled to floor again, and we're back to a somewhat normal situation in the Baltic this regard. So there's not so much you can to mediate that situation, but of course you need to think about limiting contamination of the ocean here and anywhere else as well.
Absolutely, indeed. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Hans Sanderson, for joining us and getting us those insights then. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.